Hey guys, I'm Erik Peterson and I'm a men's dating and relationship coach for skillofattraction.com, and today's attraction tips video is called When to Say I Love You. A lot of men ask me when to say I love you to a girl, or if it's even okay to say it. And to at least answer the second part of that question, yes, of course it's okay to tell a girl that you're in love with her. But it's more about the timing of saying that and actually feeling that you're in love with her that's important. I believe it was in my video on vulnerability where I told you guys about my first experience telling a woman that I loved her. And it actually was the first girl who I was actually in love with that I told that to. She was my college girlfriend. Up until that point, I had told women that I was in love with them when I really wasn't. But it was really just me saying it in return to a woman who had just told me that she loved me. It wasn't because I was just, trying to get into her pants. And really, I didn't use that for sex until I got a bit older. But then, of course, when I got older than that, I realized that that was kind of a shitty thing to say when I didn't really mean it. Anyway, in that story, I told a girl that I loved her. Her head was laying on my lap, and she just shot up and stared at me for like a second or two, and she got up and walked into the other room without saying a word. And needless to say, that really stung. And at the time, I vowed I would never say that to a woman again unless she said it first. And as I got older and I dated other women, I was always just so terrified to tell a woman that I loved them, even if they said it first. Anytime I heard those words, I would just get like the sick feeling in my gut and start immediately having flashbacks of that one time I put my balls on the chopping block and had them lopped off by the girl that I loved. And for a long time, I wouldn't even say it to a woman in return. Didn't matter who said it first. I was not going to put myself out there again only to get hurt. While I didn't realize it at the time, my stand on not saying those three little words was actually causing problems in my relationships. Because I wasn't opening up emotionally, because I wasn't being a little vulnerable, it was actually causing my girlfriends to shut down emotionally as well. They too didn't want to risk getting hurt or putting themselves out there and telling me that they were in love with me only for me to not say it in return. No one, man nor woman, enjoys putting themselves into such a vulnerable situation only to be figuratively just slapped in the face. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And it wasn't just saying I love you, it was really just opening up myself emotionally on any level. While of course I did develop feelings for women that I dated just like anyone else would, but I never really shared how I felt. I felt relatively safe this way, but like I said, it was hurting my relationships. But I didn't figure this out till later. My relationships just kept failing. And I mean, it was partly because I acted beta and partly because I wouldn't open up emotionally. I remember years later, after this girl and I broke up, we reconnected a bit and we were emailing each other back and forth. And she was engaged at this time, and I happened to be going through a really rough time in my life. And she asked me to just tell her what was going on. And I told her everything. I really opened up. And there was no chance of us getting back together due to her engagement, so I really had nothing to hide. And it was interesting because she responded saying, "I think that's the most that you've ever talked to me." And I was initially shocked to hear her say that. But that's when it really started to hit me. I can't remain all closed off like this and expect women to stick around. However, you also just can't, vomit up all your feelings either. There's a fine line. So when is it okay to tell a woman that you love her? So in this attraction tips video, I'm going to be discussing when you should and when you should not tell a woman that you love her in order to maintain her attraction and for her to feel safe opening up to you. But if you guys need my personal help and you're interested in some private coaching, please head over to my website at skillofattraction.com, click on the coaching tab, and there you'll see that I have several options for you to choose from. My coaching options include phone coaching, several phone coaching packages for my North American clients, and several Zoom coaching packages for my clients outside North America. And I'll post the links to both my contact page and my coaching page in the description down below. Now, it's important to understand that women need to feel safe and comfortable opening up to you in order to share their feelings with you. They need to feel emotionally safe. And that's not just with emotions either, but in just about every aspect, they need to feel safe and comfortable in order for you to get the real girl. They're just as terrified at being the first one to say, I love you, just as much as you are, and for the same reasons. She doesn't want to put her heart out there only to be hurt. So you might be thinking, okay, well, that's easy enough. I'll just be the first one to say it then. However, you also have to keep in mind that in order to maintain a woman's attraction, she has to feel that either she likes you a bit more than you like her, or she has to feel that you like her just about as much as you like her, or as she likes you. In other words, she can't feel like you like her more if you want to keep her attraction relatively high over a long period of time. I hope that made sense. I also instruct you guys to take the courtship at her pace. You do this by leading things in the direction that you want them to go without coming on too strong or demanding too much of her time and attention. And if she backs off, then you back off. So when it comes to telling her that you love her for the first time, you better damn well be sure that she's in the same place emotionally as you are. That was my issue when I told my college girlfriend that I loved her, and she essentially just ran into the other room. She wasn't in love with me, even though we had been together for probably about 6 months by this time, and for me it was the love of my life. So how can you be definitively sure that she's in love with you already? Well, by letting her say it first, when she's ready, of course. Now, she'll probably struggle with whether or not she should say it for a while before she finally does. So this means that she'll be saying it with certainty when she finally does say it. Then you'll also know for certain, and if you're also in love with her, then you can say it too without any fear of chasing her off. Now, it doesn't always work as smoothly as this. I believe that I also mentioned in that same video on vulnerability that one girlfriend caught me completely off guard. At this time, we hadn't told each other that we loved each other, and we were just talking and flirting like we normally did, and completely out of the blue, she says to me, "Erik, are you in love with me?" And just like I'm instructing you to do, I was waiting for her to say it first. And I was already in love with her, but I didn't want a repeat of when I told my college girlfriend. So when she said this, I was completely shocked, and I froze like a deer in headlights. I was like, huh? However, I could tell that she was in fact in love with me as well. So I told her that I was, and her face just lit up, and she gave me a big hug and a kiss. But my point is, it may not work as perfectly as I'm explaining it, so you have to be prepared. But this is generally how you want to handle it. And just like everything that I teach, I teach you guys the fundamentals. So you have to use your own judgment with the information I give you and what's happening in that moment. Just my point being, not everything works so perfectly as the way I explain it. Now, what about when you're in a relationship? You don't want to be saying that to her too much, because it could very easily turn her off after a while and begin to feel like she's on a pedestal, especially when she doesn't say it to you very often. Again, you want to be sure that she's in a similar place emotionally, and be cognizant of the current emotional dynamics and how often she says it to you. In other words, if you find yourself saying it often and her not saying it much, if at all, then you need to reel that in. Now, you can freely tell women that you love her without waiting for her to say it, but it's important that you have to feel like she's currently in love with you too. As an example, if she's pushing you away and treating you like a low priority, it probably isn't the best time to be telling her how much that you love her. If she's breaking up with you, it's probably not a good time to tell her, or you risk coming across as desperate. Now remember, and I did a video on this too, women don't care about how you feel about them, only how they feel about you. In other words, you loving her will not change how she feels about you if she's losing interest. So no, but I love yous if she's breaking up with you or rejecting you. Now, a good rule of thumb to think about throughout the relationship so you're not overdoing your I love yous is the 2/3 rule, which basically means for every one that she gives you, you give her 2/3 of that in return. And this will also keep the 60-40 dynamic that I often talk about going. So for every 3 times that she tells you that she loves you, you tell her twice in return. Another very important part of this is be sure that you actually are in love with her when you tell her this. Don't just say it to appease her or to get something out of her. And don't just say it to hear her say it in return. Women can sense when you tell them that you love her just so you could hear it from her in return. When you tell a woman that you love her, don't expect to hear it back, because you're not telling her that for that reason. You're telling her that because you genuinely feel it. Now, of course, you do want to hear it back. I mean, and if you follow what I'm suggesting here, it's highly likely that you will hear it back from her where she truly means it. And I mean, that's what we all really want anyway, right? For a woman that we love to tell us that they love us too and actually mean it. So if you guys have found this video helpful, or any of my videos helpful, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up and for you to share it with any of your friends and family. And I'd also really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button down below and tick that little bell symbol next to it so you get real-time notifications of when I upload new videos. And in the description down below, not only will I have a link to both my contact page and my coaching page, but I also have a few links on how you could start building your income through investing. But I also have a link to PayPal or my Bitcoin wallet address if you deem this video worthy of a donation. So that's it for this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.